everyone, it's Gojira Prime here with a little video, and today we are taking a look at not one bot, but an entire team of bots. And this is Team Victorion, if I get the pronunciation right, which was part of the Combiner Wars line, going on nearly, 10 years ago now, maybe? This was a series of figures which were repaints and slight remolds to make an all-new Combiner team as part of the IDW tie-in line with the Combiner Wars. It's an all-female Combiner team, and they're all painted in exactly the same color, and exactly, or colors, I should say. And yeah, it was an attempt to introduce an all new set of Transformers into the mythos. And they did quite well, actually, through the IDW run. They came in at the Combiner Wars, and they lasted all the way till the very, very end. So we'll take a look at each vehicle mode. We'll take a look at the robot modes. We'll do some size comparisons, and then I'll put them all together into Victorion, who is the combine mode. And then we'll do some more size comparisons with another combiner that I have on shelf. So just to run through these, and hopefully I've got all the names correct, we have Pyra Magna, who is the torso and leader of the group. We then have Jump Stream, Dust Up, Rust Dust, and with the helicopters, it doesn't really matter because they're both exactly the same in appearance. You have Skyburst and Storm Clash. So you've got a sizable number of figures here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just move 4 of them to the side. We'll get rid of all the big ones first, I think, and we'll start off with Rust Dust. Now, as with the entire set, I'll just move my camera a little bit here. As with the entire set, these are all repaints and remolds. I believe this one was meant to be Wheeljack, if I'm not Wheeljack, sorry. Wreck-Gar, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Rust Dust is a science fiction type motorcycle. Do you know, it's not actually a bad looking motorcycle mode. I actually quite like this. It looks like it's a bit of a cruiser, like the Honda Goldwing and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a nice little motorcycle mode. The color scheme is maybe not the best in the world with this teal green, the red and the black and the silver, but it looks okay in all honesty. You've got a nice Autobot logo there on the front, some Cybertonian writing, and a bit of battle damage there as well. But all in all, I think... Oh, we also got little jet thrusters at the back there. That's quite cool too. But all in all, I think this is a really nice little motorcycle mode. And aside from forming a robot, this also forms the chest piece of the larger combiner mode as well. So yeah, not a bad looking thing. Next we have, I think this is Dust Up. I could be wrong. I'm terrible with these newer names. But yeah, Dust Up here turns into a form of Lamborghini. It's based on Sunstreaker, I believe, this particular mold. And again, while the color scheme is maybe not my favorite choice of colors in the world, the vehicle mode is rather quite nice. You do have minimal robot kibble underneath. You've got the large hole at the back for the combiner port section to go in. But all in all, it's not bad. You've got some nice Cybertonian writing on the side. The vehicle does roll very nicely. But yeah, I think it's a really nice looking car mode. It's meant to be something like a Lamborghini, obviously. But yeah, I think it's a really nice looking car mode. So I have no complaints about the vehicle mode, at least, with this one either. Then we have, I believe this is Jump Stream. Again, it's based on Sideswipe, I believe, this one. And it's, again, I think it's meant to be like a Lamborghini type vehicle. But all in all, it's a very, very nice vehicle mode. You've got these big, massive wheels at the back, some slightly smaller wheels at the front. Nice Autobot logo on the sides, again, with the Cybertonian writing, which they all do seem to have in some way, shape, or form. Rolls very nicely. Yeah, no complaints about the vehicle mode. I think it does look nice. So yeah. I'll do these next two together because they are exactly the bloody same. I can't really see any differences myself on them, but maybe I've just not been looking very hard. Yeah, this is meant to be I think it's Alpha Bravo this is a repaint of. And, you know, it's a nice enough helicopter mode. The rotor blade does spin round a little bit. Cybertonian writing again, Autobot decal. You can unfortunately see the hands in this mode and the head here as part of the chest, but, you know, as long as you turn the head around, it's not really that much of a problem at the end of the day. I kind of wish that they hadn't used Alpha Bravo for both of these characters. You know, maybe used, another flying vehicle. I think the only other flying vehicle they had was Blastoff from the Combaticons. Maybe you've used that one maybe a little bit. Or maybe have used one of the truck or another vehicle mode instead of just using both helicopters, you know, for both characters. I think it would have given the set maybe a bit more variance. But all in all, the helicopter mode is very, very nice. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a nice looking helicopter mode. Again, the color scheme is not my favorite in the world, but I just wish they used a different version for one of these characters. You know, the Ironhide, the Trailbreaker. There was that other Decepticon Jeep thing, I can't remember. Not Swindle, but the other one. I can't remember what his name is right now. But again, like I say, nice helicopter mode. I just wish they hadn't used it for both characters. And then finally, we have Pyra Magna, who is the leader of the group and also the largest of the group. And this is a repaint of the Hotspot. Is it Hotspot from the Protectobots? This one I think is probably the better looking because it is a lot more red than there is this green teal color. Again, rolls very, very nicely. I actually have the Inferno version of this mold as well, which I have for another like homemade combiner that I came up with. I have no problems with this fire engine mode. It looks very, very nice. The rear section does spin around the ladder, and it can extend as well a little bit, I think, too. Maybe not. But yeah, all in all, it's a nice enough vehicle mode. The red with a little bit of the teal is much better, I think, than kind of like that, personally. But yeah, it's a nice looking mode. Rolls very, very nicely. You've got the nice Autobot logo again on the side. Cybertonian writing. Don't know what it says. There's a little robot kibble with the hands here at the back. But other than that, I think it's a nice enough vehicle mode for the time that it was created. But yeah, so that's the 3 or 4 different molds available here with this set. It's a little varied, a little different. I wish, like I say, the one thing I wish they had done is to have used a different vehicle than a helicopter for both of these two characters. But they were probably on a tight budget or something with this. So let's get them all transformed, and then we'll do some size comparisons. Okay, so here we have the Velocitron team all transformed into their individual robot modes, and I'm just going to go through them all in just a moment. One thing I will say about this set is it is all very uniformed in regard to the color scheme of them all. And in some ways, I think this is a bit of a detraction for them because with other combiners, there are a multitude of different colors. If you look at, say, Menasor, there's black, there's yellow, there's red, there's white. The Combaticons, there's brown, yellow, green. They're all multitudes of different colors. This team, with this particular color choice, although it does make it stand out on the shelf a little bit, I think it makes it stand out in the wrong way. I think the color scheme is just a little bit too boring for me. And that's a minor complaint at the end of the day. Now, I know that they did reissue this set in Japan as the Megatronus, or the female version of Megatron, basically, with her little army. And I think that set had the characters all in different colors, which made it stand out a lot better, I think, and made it much more interesting to look at. This set can be a bit boring because they just all have the same color scheme, red and green, which, you know, is a little bit but there you go. So what we'll do is we'll just take a look at each figure individually. I'll just move these ones back. And we'll start off with Rust Dust. So that little motorcycle has now transformed into this Legends scale figure. The joints on mine are a little bit loose, especially on the legs, which does make it a little bit floppy. But all in all, it's not a bad little Legends class robot mode. It is what it is at the end of the day. It just seems a little bit too flimsy for me. The head is on a swivel, but it's a little difficult to move, and I don't think it's going to move any more than what you can see on screen here. It is nice that they did paint the face as well as they did. The arms are on a... You can swivel them that much before they hit the handlebars. You do have movement at the elbow, but there's absolutely no hand articulation in any way, shape, or form. One thing you do have to be careful with this is obviously that it comes apart like that very easily. So if you are mucking around it, just be careful when you are doing that. But all in all, the robot mode's okay. It's just the color scheme again more than anything with this set. Now, this one, I think, looking at my notes, is Dust Up. And again, the robot mode is okay. Nice head sculpt, kind of like a ninja thing. Head is on a ball joint, so it can turn all the way around like that. You do get some limited up and down motion as well. The movement at the shoulders for a full 360. You've got movement at the elbow as well. The hand articulation, non-existent because of how it's built in here, because obviously you have to fold the hand in and out in order to get at it. Legs, all the way forward. A little bit of the way back. One just fell down. You do get some knee articulation there. There is no foot articulation in any way, shape, or form. But again, there we go. But again, all in all, I think the robot mode is quite nice. It does what it does at the end of the day. Then this one is Jump Stream. I think Jump Stream's probably got the more feminine head sculpt out of all of them, aside maybe from Pyromagna. But it's a very nice head sculpt. It's an okay robot mode. It's not the best robot mode in the world. Out a little bit. There we go. But it's okay. It's not too bad. The head, you can swivel it. It doesn't really move up and down. Arms at the shoulders for a full 360. You've got to move them a little bit to get past the front of the car there. The one thing to say is they do have waist articulation, but it is a little bit limited because of the backpack that they have on these things. Legs, all the way forward. Massive hollow leg syndrome with all of these as well. Bit back. There is a little bit of knee articulation there. She's got a very small knee, though. And the foot does not move at all. So again, it's a nice enough robot mode. Not the best out there. For the time, it was pretty good because they were trying to do a lot of things with these things. They were trying to be a car, a robot, a limb. So all in all, they did a fairly decent job with these, I think. Then we've got these two. I'm just going to look at the same time. Both helicopters. They've just flipped the designs, basically. I can't remember for the life of me which one's which. I think, from the notes I've made here, this one is Skyburst and this one is Storm Clash. I could be wrong. But yeah. Again, they're all right robot modes. The biggest problem with these helicopter ones from the Combiner Wars are the rotors. There's nowhere actually for the rotors to go when they're in robot mode. You can tilt them up like that, so they kind of like hold in place behind the fins at the back there. But that's about it, really. They just keep coming out every so often. The head is on a ball joint there, so you can go up and down a little bit, full 360. Shoulders, again, full 360, just move it a little bit, just get past that. You've got movement at the elbow. Hand movement articulation is non-existent because it's all one solid molded piece, but it is molded quite nicely. Legs, all the way forward. A little bit to the back because it bangs into the rotor bits there. You've got a bend at the knee. And no, well, it can wiggle the front bit, but that's more to do with the transformation process than anything. And that's about it really for these two because they are exactly the same. Then we get on to the leader of the group, Pyra Magna. I'll just bring her a little bit forward and bring my camera up. So Pyra Magna, repaint, remold of Hotspots, Inferno, whatever you want to call it. Again, a very nice head sculpt next to Dust Up. These two have the most feminine looking of the heads of all of them. And, you know, she, like I say, she's a repaint of Inferno, of Hotspot. The biggest problem with this mold is this huge backpack at the bottom here, which just sticks out like a sore thumb. But aside from that, the robot mode is generally not that bad. I still think even today, this particular mold does hold up quite well. The head is on a swivel, so you can do the full 360. You do get a little bit of motion up and down. Big ratchet joint on the shoulder for a full 360 there. You do also have movement at the elbow. No hand articulation in any way, shape, or form, as it's just a solid molded piece. But all in all, I think that is a pretty good robot mode. There we go. And I think it holds up okay, not brilliantly. There are better molds that have since come along, but all in all, I think it's an okay robot mode. So, that's Team Victorion in all of its robot modes. That's probably down. All in all, not a bad little set. Like I say, I just wish they had chosen a different mold for one of these helicopters just to give it a little more variation. Because obviously we've got Sunstreaker, we've got Sideswipe, and we've got two different versions of the helicopter plane one from the aerial bots. But there you go. So anyway, I'm now going to put these... Oh, hang on, we need to do some size comparisons, don't we? So just to do some quick size comparisons, I'll just put those three there. I'll just move these three out of the way for now. So, first comparison, here's Brawl from the Combaticons. I'll help me move my camera down a little bit here. And you can see Brawn compared to that. So, you know, decent size. Brawn compared to that one. And finally, Brawn compared to that one. Here's Thrust, modern day Voyager class. So she's bigger than Thrust. And this was a Voyager back in the day as well. And move my fingers out of the way. So I'll just pause the video for a minute and I'll get them all into combiner mode. Okay, so here we have Victorion in her combine mode, and you can see Pyra Magna as the chest section, the two helicopters as the arms, we've got the motorcycle, Rust Dust as the chest plate, and then we've got the two cars forming the bottom legs sections there as well. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you, it's not a bad idea for a combiner. I really do quite like the head sculpt. I think it's very, very nice. By the way, I'm having to do this freehand now because the combiner is too big for the table and to film on at the same time, but there you go. But all in all, it's not a bad looking combiner. In this mode, the uniform color scheme does make a lot more sense because it's a uniformed color scheme, like with the Constructicons. The Constructicons in their individual robot modes, though, look good with their color scheme because it's a single color. The big problem for this set, I think, is although these two different colors combined in the combined mode look really good, in the individual robot modes, it does make them suffer a little bit. Also, out of all the combiners I have, this is probably the most flimsy, as this is the third attempt just to get this thing to stand up. One interesting feature about this one as well is, aside, different from the other combiners, this one does come with its own unique set of hands and feet. And one thing I did forget to cover, you can see she's just flopped over a little bit there. I'm a little bit concerned she's going to fall down completely. One thing that this set does also have as well is its own unique weapon system as well. Now, it does come with this sword, which breaks down into different components. So you have these individual weapon blades, or a shield here. This part forms a shield, which the individual robots can wield. Now, obviously, these parts are severely oversized because they're meant to be used by the final combiner mode, but it is a nice little touch. And you just take her weapon, put it into either of her hands, because it will fit in either of them, and then watch her fall over as mine is about to do. So I'm just going to have to lean her up against the wall or something here. The weight of the sword, I'll just lay her down. I'm just going to bring my camera up a bit. The weight of the sword, being what it is actually causing her to fall over. That's not great. I don't know if that's the joints or something there, but whatever it is, she's not really willing to stand up very well. Ow. So I'm just going to take this sword out of her hand. Okay, sword's out of her hand, so she is standing up on her own as it is right now. So yeah, she's really quite flimsy to say the least, which is a bit of a shame when you at the end of the day. So I'm just going to do some very quick size comparisons while I'm able to keep this thing standing up. So first off, here she is with thrust. You can see she does tower over thrust quite nicely. But then the more important... Sorry, that's Dirge. Is that Dirge? Ramjet. That's Ramjet. Sorry, I'm getting my Seekers mixed up here. The most important comparison, however, I think, with this one is a modern-day combiner. And here we have Superion. Now, height-wise, she's more or less the same height as Superion, but engineering-wise, this is so far ahead of this, it's unbelievable. And I think what makes this one vastly superior to this combiner is the skeletal frame that you get with the Superion. With Superion, you've got that skeletal frame which forms the legs, the arms, the chest section, which gives it a lot of support, a lot of rigidity at the end of the day, and it allows you to pose it in some really good poses. Victorion, unfortunately, does not have that stability. It is a very flimsy figure. And, you know, even when compared to other Combiner Wars figures that I have, like Leo Kaiser or the Galvatronus one that you can make up, those combiners are really, really flimsy. I don't even want to risk putting Victorion or the other combiners from the Combiner Wars lines into poses because they just can't take the weight. They're as flimsy as hell. Superion is superior, as is Menasor, because they have that frame, they have that rigidity, which helps them to stay in place and allows you to do a lot of poses. Now, if I just move Superior out of the way. Now with this figure, the head is on a swivel, so you can spin it right round. The arms will go on a full 360, but then you end up ripping apart the combiner element because it all pegs in. There's nothing solid really at the end of the day. So you can get movement at the elbows once you've sorted it out a little bit through there, and the hand will spin around, but you don't really want to do that. The leg will move a little bit forward, but not a lot, and there is that bend at the knee as well. But the articulation on this is really quite limited, I think, at the end of the day. You're not going to be able to put this in too many dynamic poses because it's just going to fall apart on you, or at least mine does with me. So, because you can see here, that tab is meant to go in there, but in order to it's holding at the moment and it's okay, but it will come out eventually. I mean, the back section here, that's come out already. So when you start trying to pose this thing, it will, and she's now going to collapse on me, it will come apart on you quite a bit, which is a bit of a shame really at the end of the day. So the robot mode itself, the super robot mode, don't get me wrong, the look of it is good. The unified color scheme works in this mode, just not with the individual robot mode. And also the fact, like a lot of the Combiner Wars combiners, it just falls apart when you're trying to do something with it, which I think is a bit of a shame. Now, if I didn't have this set, would I buy it today? No, not in any way, shape, or form. Combiner Wars was good for its time, but with the introduction of the new, there she goes, with the new system with bots like Superion and Menasor and the Combaticons coming up now, this is a vastly superior combiner to this one. So this, I think today would probably not interest me like it did 10 years ago. However, if you like your female bots, and I know there's plenty of people out there who would like who like the female Transformers, this will be a set that you... There you go, she's going to go. This will be a set that you want to get. But I think it's a set that has now suffered from its age. The individual robot modes are okay, but the color scheme doesn't really work for them. The combiner mode looks good, but it lacks stability, which is a bit of a problem if you want to pose the damn thing. Now, do I think that Hasbro is going to bring out a new version of Victorion anytime soon? No, probably not. The character, I think, like a few other characters from that era, the early 2000s, the IDW era, I don't think they're going to get the love and attention from Hasbro anymore because Hasbro is sticking more with the traditional G1 combiners and bots like these guys again. Although I do hope that they do show more love to other areas of the Transformers fandom, such as RID, the Unicorn Trilogy, Prime, a bit more Prime, another thing. They need to show more love there. So really, I can't think of a good reason to get this one unless you're a fan of female bots or just a general Transformers fan. But like I said, the set's not very stable. In combine mode, it looks good. The unified color scheme works for it. It really does. The individual robot modes, the unified color scheme doesn't really work very well. They don't stand out very well. So if it was me today, I wouldn't bother getting this set. But like I say, some people may still be wanting this thing at the end of the day. And it's going to go over again. I'm having to hold it up. I moved it just to wiggle it a little bit, and she was about to tip over again on me. If you like it, get it. If you don't like it, don't get it. That's the best advice I can give you at the end of the day, because this thing is flimsy as hell. It really, really is. But anyway, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you for sticking with me. Hit like, hit subscribe, and have a very, very nice day.